now what we're going to do is start the skirt portion as we continue to go up. And what we're going to do now is pattern 2, which involves V-stitches. So in this case, a V-stitch is a double crochet, a chain, and a double crochet. So to start this, we need to do a chain 4. And then in the very same stitch where we did the slip stitch, you're going to do a double crochet. And that is going to be your first V-stitch. And that chain 4 counts as your double crochet and your chain 1. So the 3 is the double crochet and the 1 extra is your chain 1. Okay? So that will be your very first V-stitch. Now what you're going to do is skip 2 stitches. Let me get this where you can see it. Skip the next 2 stitches, and in the next one, do a V-stitch. And again, that V-stitch is a double crochet, a chain, and a double crochet, all in the same stitch. So there's your V-stitch. Okay? Then you are going to skip the next 2 stitches. 1, 2, and in the one after that, do another V-stitch. Double crochet, chain 1, and a double crochet, all in that same stitch. Okay, so as you can see, we're starting a V-stitch for the first row of the second pattern to start our skirt. And what you'll want to do is continue that all the way around, and you can join when you get back here. Remember, when you join, and we can cover this when we get back, when we join, you want to join to the 3rd chain, because we want the 4th chain to be our chain of the V-stitch. So do your V-stitch all the way around, and I'll meet you back here when we join to the top of this chain here, and then we'll go on to row 2. Okay, and here are V-stitches all the way around that row, and I went ahead and joined it, as we talked about, to the 3rd chain in that starting chain over there, because remember, we need one for the chain 1 there to make our V-stitch. Now we're going to go on to row 2 of pattern 2, and this pattern is just a little bit different. Instead of continuing to work this way, we're going to turn our work, and I know you don't always turn our work in when we're working in the rounds, but in this case we're going to. So here we are where we've joined it. Just to see where we are, we've joined it to the top of that, and we have that V-stitch there. Now we're going to turn our work. So just turn it, and we're going to go back the way we came. So as if you were working just a flat piece, right, and you would turn your work, that's what we're going to do here. So let me get that on the right side there. Now what we want to do is get over to the chain 1 space there. So first we are going to do a slip stitch into that double crochet that's right there. Okay, so a slip stitch there. Okay, and then we want to do a slip stitch into this, oops, I missed a thread. Okay, and then we want to do a slip stitch into that chain 1 space right there too, so that you can have your hook positioned in the right spot. So go ahead and do another slip stitch. So you see now we're in the center in the chain 1 space there. So what we want to do here is chain 3. That is going to count as your first double crochet, and then we want to do 2 more double crochets in that chain 1 space. So the chain 3 and 2 double crochets, that'll act as 3 double crochets right there. Okay, so easy enough. Now what we're going to do is do that in every chain 1 space. So you don't need any chains or anything like that. Just go into the next chain 1 space from that V-stitch and do 3 double crochets. Okay, oops, that's 2. Let's do 1 more. All right, and then go into the next chain 1 space from that V-stitch, that we created and do 3 double crochets. All right, so go ahead and do 3 double crochets in every chain 1 space from the V-stitch. There, there, there. And then we'll meet back here and join and go on to row 3 of pattern 2. Okay, so I finished putting the 3 double crochet in the center of every V-stitch around, and I'm just going to join this to the top of the chain 3 from over here. So that we have that joined. Okay, now I'm going to turn my work again. See, remember we turned it last time. I'm going to turn it again, and we want to go back to doing V-stitches like we did in the row prior. So what we want to do is slip stitch into the, so if you see where we're in the group of 3 here, we want to do a V-stitch in the middle of every one of these groups of 3. So to get over to the middle, I need to do a slip stitch to the first double crochet of that 3, right? And then I'm going to do a slip stitch into the middle double crochet. So now here I'm in the middle of that group of 3 double crochets. And now I can do my chain 4. Remember, the chain 4 counts 3 is the double crochet and the 4th one is the chain. So go ahead and put your double crochet back into that middle double crochet there, and that's going to be your V-stitch, your first V-stitch, okay? And then what we want to do is a V-stitch in the center of every one of these groups of 3. So we're going to skip over to this second double crochet right there and do a V-stitch. Oops. Which is a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. Okay, go to the next group of 3, and in the center double crochet, you're going to do another V-stitch. Okay, next group of 3 and the center double crochet, do a V-stitch. And you want to do this all the way around until we get back to the beginning. And then meet me back here and we'll talk about next steps. Okay, we finished that row of V-stitches. And now we're going to repeat row 2, which were the 3 double crochets in the center of each V-stitch. So turn again, turn your work like we did before. Now we're going the opposite direction. Just as a reminder, we are going to slip stitch into the first double crochet of that V-stitch. Slip stitch. Okay, and then you want to slip stitch into the center of the V-stitch, that chain 1 space, so that you're back in the middle. And now you're going to do your 3 double crochets in each chain 1 space of the V-stitch. Remember, this first time around, that consists of chain 3, which was your first double crochet, and then 2 more double crochets. And then go ahead and put 3 double crochets in the chain 1 space of every V-stitch all the way around. And then we'll meet back here and we're going to start a decrease. We're going to put in some place markers, so have your little markers ready, and we're going to talk about the decrease and the next steps there. Okay, we have finished the 4th row. So we have a V-stitch, the 3 double crochets, a V-stitch, and the 3 double crochets. So we finished those 4 rows. Went ahead and slip stitched into the top of the first chain 3 there. And now we're going to turn again. So we're back to our right side. All right. So what we need to do now we're going to have some shaping going on here. And in order to do that, we need to put some place markers here so that we know where our shaping should be. And the place markers are going to be in the center of the groupings of 3. So you see we have these 3 double crochets. It's going to be in the middle one. So only certain ones. So for the small size that we're doing, we're going to start with putting our first place marker on the center double crochet of the 6th grouping. Okay, center double crochet of the 6th grouping. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So on that center double crochet, which is this one here, you want to just put your place marker. Okay, so there's your first one. So it's going to be 6. We're going to do the same thing in the 16th one. So this is 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. So here's 16. So we want to get our next place marker and put that in the center double crochet. See that middle one? Okay, so we have 6 and 16. The next one we want is the 28th. Okay, so this is 16, so 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, and 28. Sorry, I need to move that around. This is 28 right there. Let's get a place marker and put it in the center double crochet right there. Okay, now we're going to go get the 40th one. Here's 40 right there. That's the 40th group, and we'll stick our place marker in the center double crochet there. Maybe. There we go. There's 40. We also want 50. So 41, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Here's 50. We're going to put a place marker there. And then finally, we're going to put one in the 62nd. So here's 50. Let me turn this around so we can kind of count better. Here's 50. And we want to go to 62. 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 60, 61, and 62. So there's our 62nd group. And we're going to put a place marker there. Okay, so we have these place markers in our designated spots there. We're going to go back to where we joined. Here it is. And we're going to, sorry, let me get my hook on here. All right. Now that we have done that, we're going to do a decrease round. So I mentioned that earlier. We're going to do some V-stitches. So we need to get to the center of this first group right here. If you remember, the way we do that is we slip stitch on over there. So there, and then we slip stitch into the center one, and that gets us to the center of that first group. Remember, we do a chain 4, and the chain 4 counts as your first double crochet and your chain, and then we'll do a double crochet back into that same stitch, and there is your first V-stitch. So we're going to do a V-stitch in the center of every group of 3 like we did previously until we get to that first marker. And there's one coming up here, so we'll just do that. Here's that next group. We'll do a V-stitch. Okay, and the next one. We'll do a V-stitch there. Okay, so we're continuing with our V-stitches here. We'll do one more until we get to the next place marker. Okay, now here's the next grouping where we have that first place marker there. You're going to want to take that out and keep it handy because we're going to put it back in here. But in this first one, instead of doing the V-stitch, we are going to just do 2 double crochets, okay? So in that center one, like we do a V-stitch, just do 2 double crochets. And then what you want to do to keep hold of where that is, you're going to want to take your place marker and put it back in between those 2 double crochets that we just made. So we want to keep an eye on that spot right there. Okay, so you did 2 double crochets, no V-stitch, and you just did the place marker in between those 2 stitches that you just made. Okay, so now we're going to do that 5 more times. So go ahead and do your V-stitch in the center of every one of the groups of 3. When you come to your next V-stitch, your next place marker here, instead of putting a V-stitch in, just do 2 double crochets and put your place marker back in between those 2 double crochets. And you should do that 5 more times. So do that 5 more times, and then we'll come back here and talk about next steps. Okay, so we finished putting V-stitches in the center of each group of 3 double crochet, except for where we had the place markers. We just did 2 double crochets, not a V-stitch. So you should end up with 62 V-stitches and then 6 of these 2 double crochet groupings. So if you go ahead and count, as long as you come up with 62 V-stitches and 6 of the double crochet groupings, you are right on track. So we're going to want to join this into the 3rd chain from the beginning of the round. Okay, and that'll be your final V-stitch. Then we're going to turn, and we're going to go back to doing the 3 double crochets in each of the V-stitches. So just as a reminder to start that, we need to get ourselves into the center where that chain 1 space is. So we're going to do a slip stitch into the first double crochet, and then a slip stitch into the chain 1 space, so that we're back at the center of that. And now what we're going to do is start with your chain 3 that will count as your first double crochet, and then add 2 more double crochets there for 3. All right, and then go ahead and put 3 double crochets in the center or the chain 1 space for each of these V-stitches. Now when you come to the place marker, the place marker, as you know, has no chain 1 space. Those are just 2 double crochets that are side by side. So what you want to do when you get to the place marker is just go ahead and put 2 double crochets there. So go ahead and do your 3 double crochets, 3, 3, 3. When you get here, do a double crochet in each one. So you'll have 2 double crochets again, and then move that place marker up into the middle of those 2 double crochets again, like we did the first time around. So let's just get to that first place marker and then you can finish the row on your own after you kind of get a look at what I'm going to do here. Pretty straightforward, but just to make sure everyone's on the same page, let's go ahead and get to that place marker. Oh, one more. So one more V-stitch here. We're going to put 3 double crochets. Okay, now we're to that first place marker. I'm going to take that out and get it out of the way. And then I'm going to do a double crochet in each one of these, okay? There's no chain 1 space, so just 1 double crochet there and 1 double crochet there. Okay, and now I want to put that place marker back in there in between the 2 double crochets, just so we keep that spot marked. Gotta get the hook out of the way. So there's those 2 double crochets right there. I'm going to put the place marker right in between it, just like we had before. Well, it's being difficult. There we go. All right, so in between those 2 double crochets, I've got that place marker, and then I'm going to continue that way. So do your 3 double crochets in the center of every V-stitch. When you get to the place marker, just do 2 double crochets and move that place marker up. And when you're done, come back here and we'll talk about next steps. Okay, we've come all the way around again, and I went ahead and did a slip stitch to join. And now what we're going to do is another decrease row. So we're going to do V-stitches again, but we'll make a little change where we get to our marked spaces and do some decreases there. So let's go ahead and turn your work. So now we're going back the other way. And we want to do a V-stitch in the middle double crochet of this group. So again, in order to get over there, we're going to do 2 slip stitches, 1 in the first double crochet and 1 in that second double crochet. And now we've lined ourselves up in the middle of that first double crochet grouping. So we're going to go ahead and chain 4. Remember, the chain 3 counts as the double crochet. The 4th chain is your chain 1, and then double crochet again in the same stitch. And there's your V-stitch, your first V-stitch. So you're going to want to go ahead and do a V-stitch in the center of every grouping of 3 double crochets. And we'll just go on over there. So here's your next grouping. Work our way over to that first place marker. Want to make sure you can see okay. All right, next group. We'll do a V-stitch in the middle. Next group, we'll do a V-stitch in the middle. Okay, and now we're at the next marked space. This is where we did just 2 double crochets on top of the double crochets there from the round previous. And what we're going to want to do is move your place marker. And instead, since this is a decrease round, instead of doing a double crochet in each one of those, we're actually going to do 1 double crochet in between. So go ahead and go in between those 2 double crochets, just almost as if there was a chain 1 space there, which there's not, and just do 1 double crochet. See that? And then you can go on. We do want to place a marker on that. Let me do the next V-stitch, which is going to be the next group of 3, and then I'll go back and put that place marker on there. All right, so now I'm going to go back to that single double crochet. So see, we have our V-stitch and then our single crochet, double crochet and the V-stitch. So on that double crochet, go ahead and put your place marker back there. And that's what you're going to want to do every time you see the place marker. And it'll be every time that you have those 2 double crochet. So here's the next one where there's 2 double crochet. And right in between there, you want to do 1 double crochet and then continue on with your V-stitches in the center of your double crochet groupings. So go ahead and finish that all the way around and we'll meet back here at the end. Okay, I went ahead and finished that row of V-stitches with the 1 double crochet at the place marker, and I did the slip stitch to join back at the beginning. We're going to turn our work again, and now for row 8 of our skirt, we're going to go back to doing the 3 double crochets in every V-stitch, and I'll show you what to do with the place marker. So first, go ahead and slip stitch to the middle of that V-stitch by doing a slip stitch in the first double crochet and then a slip stitch in the chain 1 space, and that will of course bring you back to the middle of that V-stitch, and do a chain 3, which counts as your first double crochet, and 2 more in the center of that. And you're going to want to do that in every chain 1 space where your V-stitches are. So just do your 3 double crochets in each one. Okay, a couple more here till we get to the place marker. Okay. All right, so we're to the place marker here. And this is not a decrease round. So the only thing you want to do at this double crochet is just put in a double crochet. So you're going to do a double crochet right on top of that double crochet. I'm going to move the place marker, put my double crochet in there, and then you'll continue on with your 3 double crochets in every V-stitch. Want to make sure we put back our place marker where that single double crochet is. And then just continue that pattern. So every V-stitch, put in your group of 3 double crochets, and every time you have a place marker, just put in a double crochet and then put your place marker back so that you can continue to keep track of that. And do that all the way around, and I'll meet you back here. And there we have finished row 8 of the skirt. So we have all our groupings of 3 double crochets and 1 double crochet where that place marker is. And we have 1 more row of decrease now. So to go on to 9, turn your work. We're going to go backwards, and this time we are going to do a slip stitch over to the middle of that group of 3, just like we've done before. So do a slip stitch in your first double crochet, slip stitch in your second double crochet, and that'll bring you to the middle of that group. And we're going to do V-stitches again. So to start that V-stitch at the beginning of a row here, we're going to do those 4 chain, and then a double crochet into that same stitch to start off your first V-stitch. And then you want to do the V-stitch again in the center of each group of 3 until you get to that place marker. So when you get to this place marker, see that's that 1 double crochet, you're just going to skip it, and so that goes away. So if you look back, you've gone from V-stitches to double crochet to a single double crochet, and now we're just going to skip that, and that's going to remove that altogether. So when you get there, and we'll just do that one as an example to get over that. Oops. See, sometimes those threads there come apart. That's okay. Take it out. You don't want that showing. You want this to look as neat as possible. All right, go on to the next center of the next group. There's your next V-stitch. Go to that next group in the center. Okay, next group. There's the center of that one. And you've done a V-stitch. There's what that place marker is and that double crochet there. We're just going to skip it all together. So I'm going to take that place marker out. For right now. There's that double crochet. I'm going to skip that one and go to that next group. And in the center, I am going to do that V stitch here. Okay, so you see we've eliminated that altogether. Now, what you want to do this first time around is we do want to put your place marker in there. So there's not really a spot to do that anymore. But what we want to do is move your place marker now to the chain 1 space of that last V-stitch that we just made for right now. So go ahead and put that marker where you just did that skipped and did a V-stitch there. Continue this pattern all the way around until you get back to where we started, and we'll talk about the next several rounds after this. I went ahead and finished that V-stitch decrease row, row 9, and for row 10 we're going to turn our work and we're going to do 3 double crochets in every V-stitch like we've done previously. Once we are done with row 10, what we're going to do then is go ahead and do a repeat of rows 5 through 10 several times. I think it's a total of 4 times. We're going to go repeat that several times. So we'll have a few repeats after this row. So let's go ahead and get the row 10 done first, which is just slip stitching to the center of the V-stitch. So slip stitch into the first double crochet, slip stitch into the chain 1 space, and then do your chain 3 to start. That's going to be your first double crochet, and your 2 additional double crochets there to make 3. Now you're going to want to do this in every V-stitch like we've done before. Now we're going to be doing some, since we're going to repeat rows 5 through I think it's 5 through 10 here, and I'll talk about that more when we get to that. But since you're going to be doing this repeat, when it comes to these markers that we have, you're going to want to move them back and forth a little bit so that we can try to maintain the center location there as much as possible. So let me get over to that marker and I'll show you what I mean. Okay. We'll do 3 double crochets here. Nope, that was not right. There we go. Okay, and now we're at the place where we put a marker. Remember, the marker was in between, and then we moved it to the one we made here, because let's take a look back here at where we have the, you can clearly see where we've been decreasing, right? So we used to have V-stitch in 3, and then it moved down and down and down, right? Until that next time we did it. So we put the paste marker, excuse me, the place marker here in this row, which is to the right of the row we had been, or the place where we had been decreasing. The next time we want to put the place marker here, and each row we want to move the place marker accordingly, so that we can kind of make sure that that position of that place marker is centered on where we had been doing that decrease, if that makes sense. So I'm going to move this place marker here out of the way, and I'm going to do the 3 double crochets in that V-stitch. Didn't mean to grab that. Okay. And here's where the decreases were, and we had the place marker here. So this time I'm going to do the place marker here after I do the 3 double crochets in there. So I'll do 3 double crochets, 1, 2, 3. That one was a little messy. Let's take that out and redo that. Okay, and then I'm going to put the place marker in that middle double crochet of that. And you'll continue with this pattern all the way around. The next row that we do, I'll put the place marker back over here. Again, we're kind of alternating back and forth so we can keep that lined up where we wanted that decrease to be, because that's important for positioning of the decreases and where we want this pattern to go. So go ahead and finish that all the way around, and then next time we come back I'll explain what we'll do for the next several rounds. Okay, and there we have the completion of row 10 with all of our 3 double crochets. So what we want to do now is we want to repeat rows 5 through 10 4 more times. And as you do that, just make sure that when you're putting those place markers in, that you're keeping it lined up. And just as a reminder, you can see where we had that decrease, right? So you can see here where this line, this column has gone away. You just want to keep that here in row there, or in line there, so that you can continue that page marker there, or that place marker there. So go ahead and repeat rows 5 through 10 4 more times, and that should leave you then, where you should end is 38 of these V-stitches. So that's where you should end up, 38 V-stitches. And once you are at that point, come on back here and we'll talk about the next several rows. Okay, so before you get too far with repeating rows 5 through 10, I wanted to give you a good example of alternating the placement of those place markers for row 9 that we talked about before. So here I am, this is the second time I'm doing row 9, so I've already done repeats of 5, 6, 7, and 8. And this is the row where you skip the double crochet that had the place marker, and you just go from V-stitch to V-stitch, one further decrease there. Now you have to know, where do I put the place marker this time? Do I put it here on this V-stitch or here on this V-stitch? So if you're not keeping track on if you did the one on the right or the one on the left, you can always just look back. So let's look back. the last time we did that, you can see here's the double crochet, and here's where we skipped it and did the 2 V-stitches. That is on the left-hand side, the left one. Now this time, we did that, it's on the right side. So left side over here, right side up here. So now we want to go back to the left side again. So you're going to take out your place marker, and that means we want to go back to the left side. So instead of doing this V-stitch, we're going to place the marker in this V-stitch. And every time you come to row 9, you'll want to go back and forth, and that'll help keep the placement of where we're doing the decreases centered into this one general location. So now you'll continue repeats when you get to row 9 again. This time you're going to want to do it on the one on the right, not the one on the left. So I hope that helps. Continue on with your repeats until you've repeated rows 5 through 10 a total of 4 times, and then we'll come back here and talk about what to do next.